One of the biggest things I noticed coming into ultra running was just like there's so many old people, and they're great people, nothing wrong with old people, but it's more of something on young people, I think. 2 hours of REM sleep, 7 hours 50 minutes of light sleep, and 2 hours 43 of deep sleep last night. So that's pretty much like nearly how much sleep I'll be having over the next 6 days. So while we're running. So my name's Ben Lavery. I'm originally from northern New South Wales, out in the bush, little town, if you can call it that, called Nimboida. But most of the time when people ask, I'll just say Yamba, because no one's ever heard of Nimboida. We're just out in the bush there. Based on the Gold Coast now, and I'm ultra runner, dabble in adventure every once in a while. Just got back from 8 months travelling around Australia in Bonnie Hancock's support crew, where she broke the world record for paddling a kayak around Australia. Pretty inspirational woman, and definitely someone that I've looked up to for the last little while. Down here for the Adelaide 6-day race, the last remaining 6-day race in the country, and 2022 is the last year that it's going to be run, and I think that could be in part to a lack of interest. You know, it's pretty tough to find people that are willing to run around a track for 6 days, and I guess with all like the logistics involved and a lack of interest, there's not really any incentive for them to keep putting on these races. And yeah, if you don't go, you won't know. So kind of just jumped in it and don't know what to expect. I'm just going to give it a real red hot crack, give it a good shot, and if I can come away with some impressive numbers, I'd be happy. Bit cold last night. Didn't have any blankets or anything, so I was sleeping with like 3 jackets on and had my trackies on with jeans over the top and a pair of shorts over my head to keep me warm because I didn't have a beanie. So, but yeah, we get started in 13 minutes and then be running around the park for the next 6 days. And
totally unprepared. I did have big goals, but I'm injured too, so I'm chugging along, trying to make it through 6 days running. And yeah, I think it's going to be a scary experience, but that's what's involved. So
all the old people always say, oh, like be safe, be smart, you know, train for 10 years before you have a crack. I say like kind of stuff that, like just jump in, have a crack at it. It'll either work or it won't, but either way you're going to learn something from it, and then you're going to be able to have a good crack in the future. And I mean, I've always been one to just, you know, if I want to run a fast time for 50k, I'm going to go do a 50k, do shit at it, learn something, and then come back and attack it the next time. Like, you're never going to do perfectly on your first attempt at anything, so you might as well just jump in, learn what you can firsthand, and then have a good crack the next time.
Because I started when I was about Ben's age, at about 23 as well, I think. And there hasn't been a lot of young ones around, but they're slowly coming up. So I think it's really good to get the young generation coming up. The trail scene's growing, the ultra scene's growing. So I think it's just good to get more of them involved.
Yeah, didn't make the basketball side my first year out of juniors, and I'm a pretty competitive person, and I was like, oh, I always used to be good at cross country in school, so let's let's just jump in a couple like trail runs. Obviously, because I'm from the bush, so I was like, I'm going to do some trail runs. I'm not going to go run on the road. So yeah, jumped in a few trail runs and did pretty well. But my first ever ultra, I remember watching Churia Pittman. She was on 60 Minutes and she got caught in a bushfire running a 100k ultramarathon.
Kate Sanderson and New South Wales woman Churia Pitt survived the fire but had burns to most of their bodies and needed immediate help.
And I remember watching that when I was like maybe 10 or 12. And I feel like most kids like that age would have kind of been like, oh, like she got burned in a fire, that's crazy. But I remember the only thing that really stuck with me was like, she was running a 100-kilometre race, like that's a thing, they exist. Pretty expensive travelling for races and especially buying gear, buying equipment and everything. So Brooks Running has come on board. Some Brooks Hyperion Elites here, which are carbon plated shoes, so they should help save the calves for a little bit. And then I've got the Brooks Glycerin 20s on my feet. From the beginning growing up, I was a bit of a bookworm. Didn't really play any sports. Played basketball when I was 6 and quit after like a month because it was too hot in the basketball stadium in Grafton there. All right, I'm about 85 kilometres in. So it's now officially the longest run that I've ever done. I'm pretty spent. I'm basically resigned to walking now, but I'm pretty keen to hit 100 tonight. So gonna like dig in for the next 15 Ks and then go have some rest and hopefully my legs and my feet feel better in the morning. I just don't really know what to expect past day one, so I'm just jumping in the deep end and we'll see how we go. I just hit 99 kilometres on my watch. It's still like 97 and a half on the official timing, but this next kilometre I'll hit 100 actual kilometres. Not gonna lie, been a tough day. About 35 kilometres done since 7 a.m. this morning. Basically 8 hours to do 35 Ks. It's the slowest I've ever moved in my life. It's pretty embarrassing, to be honest. I'm having a little nap for like 10 minutes now and hopefully I can still salvage and maybe even run later tonight. The beginning of day 3, got my ankle all taped up, waddling around. We'll see how we go today. I love it though, it's what we live for. I'm on 36 for the day. I need to get to at least 60 to hit my goal, but maybe I could go for some more. I think for me, like growing up, I've always been very risk averse. And I'm not, like, if you look at it, all the stuff I do, none of it is like inherently dangerous. It's typically just stuff that sucks. I woke up to our tent, like the cover basically coming off. We had to move the stretchers up to just under that like gazebo out in the open and just sleep on that. Went to like 11:45 last night, hit 220k. So that means I got to do at least 60 every day to hit 400. But I'm on track to go over a little bit. So I had my first shower in 72 hours. I felt like a human, which I feel like for this is not a good thing. Second day I woke up and my shin was really sore, my ankle, where it was swollen. And then I thought, okay, it'll be better the next day. I woke up the next day, day 3 yesterday, and then it was not better. And I was like, oh no, this is gonna just keep getting worse. I think like the biggest motivator for me is just like, I came all this way and like I don't want to let myself down. Typically, like there's been like a progression where it's like, you know, like young runners, and they're running track, they're running road, they get to like college, they might run in college. If they can't make it as a pro like track runner or pro in the marathon, they'll like go out and try some ultras. And I think, you know, that's not exactly like a pathway that we should look at as being like ideal. I think you can just go straight into your ultras, and there's just not very much like youth participation in sport. And I guess it's because there's been like this misconception for a long time that, you know, oh, you're running so far, like it's bad for your body, it's dangerous, you're still developing and all that. think it legitimises the sport a lot, having like a lot more young competitors, and you're getting a lot more younger, faster guys, whereas in the past you just had, you know, all these old, real tough, like super mentally strong, but probably not that quick guys. And I think once you find those guys who are young and fast and mentally strong, that's where the sport's going to have like the limits pushed, and you're going to see guys like, you know, Killian, Jim Walmsley breaking those records, and, you know, doing things that, you know, we didn't think were possible.
At the end of day 5, I was talking to one of the ladies, and I said, it's like, I'm actually starting to get like emotional that like it's gonna end, because I feel like this is just what I do now.
In school, I was always pretty handy at running, so come cross country, I think the only year I didn't get age champion was grade 7, where I think I lost to David Brown. Shout out to David. I'd never consider myself as a good runner in school, but I just really didn't like losing. I'd finish the cross country and I'd win age champion, and I'd get my medal and all that, and about 12 hours later I'm in hospital with a huge asthma attack just because I pushed myself too hard. But I mean, hey, I got the win in the end, so. With all our social media and stuff, like, pretty easy, and I'll get in the trap myself where I'll sit on my phone and I'll watch running videos for like 3 hours, and then I realise I'm like, I haven't even been for a run today. And I feel like I have, because I've watched all these videos and stuff, but then I think you just got to get out there and do it yourself, and there's always somebody doing something cool, and everyone's pretty willing to accept other people. So yeah, there's always opportunity for you to get outside and enjoy yourself and get fit with your mates. You just gotta look for it, and just remember that it's important. Not until like probably the last few years, but I've started kind of focusing more on like the adventure side of things, and I think it can definitely be attributed to growing up out in the bush out at Nimboida. And for the last few years I've been running my blog, Ben's Big Adventures, and getting a little bit more into like putting up some of the stuff that I get up to on my social media. And at the end of the day, I always say to people that like, I don't want to be about running. There's a lot of crazy runners out there. I like doing a little bit of everything. Like I paddled 22 Ks on a clubby board. It took me 5 hours.
$450 odd Ks. $144 hours of running around Thorndon Park, a lot of walking,
I think there was some points where I didn't think I'd run again for the rest of the race. I got to 400, which was my goal, at about 8 o'clock last night, and I set an alarm for 11:30 so I could get up and go from midnight till now. It's important to just challenge yourself. You don't live like a very fulfilling life just doing all the boring little day-to-day things. I think you need some big goals, and you need to set big dreams for yourself, whether it's in sport or whether it's in another aspect of your life. I think, you know, if you told me 3 years ago that I'd be running for 6 days when I hadn't even done a 50k yet, like, I'd think you're insane.
If you're thinking about doing something and you're not sure, just get out there, have a crack at it. If you don't go, you'll never know.